balance exercise for seniors.
In the next few minutes, you'll learn simple balance exercises you can practice at home to feel steadier, safer, and more confident in daily life. Let's kick things off with a really empowering idea. Balance, it isn't something that just disappears when you get older. Not at all. It's much more like a skill. And like any skill, it gets better with practice. That means we can train it, we can improve it, no matter our age.
So here's what we've got on tap. First, we're going to dig into why balance is even trainable in the first place. Then we'll get practical and walk through 6 foundational exercises. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about how to create a simple routine you can do right at home.
Okay, so what actually makes balance trainable? Well, it's because it's not just one single thing. It's this whole complex system, right? It's like a constant conversation happening between your brain, your muscles, that inner ear that handles equilibrium, and even your eyes. And the cool part is, just like any system, we can train all those parts to work together better, more efficiently. And listen, the benefits we're talking about here are super practical. This is not about some crazy gym routine. It's about making your everyday life feel safer, more confident. Things like walking on an uneven sidewalk without thinking twice, or just being able to catch yourself quickly if you trip. That's the real goal.
All right, let's dive into the exercises themselves. We're going to cover 6 really simple but foundational movements you can do at home. Now, the most important thing here, and I mean the most important, is safety and control. So please, make sure you always have a sturdy counter or a solid chair nearby for support.
Okay, first up, we're starting with probably the safest exercise of all, seated marching. This is a fantastic way to just warm up and start waking up that connection between your brain and your muscles. So, while you're sitting up nice and tall in a chair, you're just going to slowly lift one knee up, hold it for a second, and then lower it back down with control. Then do the other leg. Just alternate back and forth, aiming for about 10 to 20 reps in total. The real key here is keeping your back straight and making sure every single movement is slow and deliberate.
Next, we're moving on to one of the most important functional exercises there is, the sit to stand. I mean, just think about it. How many times do you do this every single day? Getting this one movement stronger is an absolute game changer for your independence.
The main goal here is to stand up from a sturdy chair without using your hands. And then, and this is just as important, sit back down slowly with complete control. Now, if you need a little boost, that's totally fine. Just place your hands on your thighs for some support. Let's shoot for about 5 to 10 nice, smooth reps.
Okay, now we're getting into some direct balance training with a single leg stand. For this one, that kitchen counter or a sturdy chair is going to be your best friend. The whole idea is to challenge yourself, but to do it safely.
So, stand at a counter, hold on just slightly, and lift one foot off the floor. See if you can hold it for anywhere between 5 and 30 seconds. And hey, if that feels like too much right now, no problem. Just modify it by keeping the toe of your lifted foot barely touching the floor for a little extra support. Remember, the goal is to challenge your balance, but always, always safely.
All right, so up until now, we've been working on static balance, staying steady while you're still. Now let's challenge our dynamic balance. That's your balance while you're actually moving. And we're going to do that with the heel-to-toe walk.
For this one, I want you to imagine you're walking on a tightrope. You're going to place the heel of one foot right in front of the toes of your other foot with every single step. Super important, do this near a wall or a counter so you can reach out for support if you need it. And if it feels a bit too wobbly, just leave a little gap between your heel and your toe. Try for about 10 to 20 slow, very careful steps.
Okay, our next exercise is the side leg raise, and this one is fantastic for building up strength in your hips. So why does that matter? Well, those hip muscles, they're the ones that stop you from swaying side to side. They're what help you recover your balance if you trip.
So you'll stand right next to your counter for support and slowly lift one leg straight out to the side. Now, the most important part of this is to keep your torso perfectly upright. You really have to resist that urge to lean over. Hey, even lifting your foot just a few inches off the ground is super effective. Let's aim for about 8 to 12 reps on each leg.
And that brings us to our last foundational exercise, heel raises. This one is all about strengthening your ankles and your calves. Think of them as your body's first responders. They're the ones making all those quick, tiny adjustments that keep you on your feet.
So holding on to a counter, you're going to slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels up as high as you can. Then, and this is the important part, really focus on lowering yourself back down slowly with control.
That controlled movement on the way down is where you really build the strength. Try to get in about 10 to 15 reps.
All right, so there you have it, our 6 core exercises. The big question now is how do we turn these into a real, consistent habit? Because honestly, consistency, that's your superpower here.
And here is probably the best part. You do not need to carve out a huge chunk of your day for this. We're just talking about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. That's it. That small, consistent investment of time is all it takes to start seeing and feeling a real difference.
And that really brings us to a key principle here. It is so much better to practice for, say, 10 minutes 4 times a week than it is to do one big 30-minute session just once a week. It's that short, frequent practice that constantly reminds your brain and your body, hey, balance is a skill we need to keep sharp.
So here's just one example of how you could set up your week. Maybe you focus on the foundational stuff one day, strength the next, and then put it all together for a full practice later in the week. But please, think of this as just a flexible template, not a rigid rule. The best schedule in the world is the one you'll actually do.
Okay, before we finish up, let's just hammer home these critical safety points one last time. Number 1, always practice near a sturdy support like a wall or a counter. 2, move slowly and with purpose. 3, make sure your space is clear of any tripping hazards. And most important of all, listen to your body. If you feel any pain or you get dizzy, just stop. Safety is what's going to make this a habit that lasts.
Explore and discover more senior-friendly resources on the Healthy Aging Guide.